It began with a whisper in the dark, soft as the rustle of silk, but carrying the weight of centuries. A whisper that drew Evelyn Ward into a world she could neither understand nor escape. She had always been fascinated by the old, the forgotten, the forbidden. Her grandmother had owned a strange book bound in cracked leather and sealed with a brass clasp that had no key, a relic that smelled faintly of ashen violets. And since childhood, Evelyn had been told never to open it. Her grandmother's words echoed through her life. Some things aren't meant to be known, Evie. Promise me you'll never read from it. But curiosity is its own kind of curse. And when her grandmother died, leaving Evelyn the crumbling house on the edge of Waverly Woods, the book came too, packed away in a chest that seemed to hum faintly when the moon rose. Evelyn had been a rational woman, a scholar, a believer in facts, in research, in tangible truths. But the house had a pulse of its own, a stillness that waited. The first night, she heard something moving in the attic, a slow drag of feet, like someone pacing just out of sight. She found no one there, of course, only the smell of burnt herbs and dust that stung her eyes. That was the night she found the book again, lying on her grandmother's old writing desk, its brass clasp broken, pages fluttering like a heart too long sealed. The words were written in Latin, yet somehow she could read them. They called themselves a prayer, but every line twisted the air around her, turning it heavy and cold. To know the truth of the shadow, speak the name that has no light. She said the words aloud once, just once, and the candle beside her guttered out. That was when she felt it, something watching her, not from the shadows, but from inside them. In the days that followed, the world began to change. The mirrors in the house showed her face delayed by a heartbeat, her reflection smiling a moment too long. The walls whispered when she passed. Her grandmother's portrait, once serene, now seemed to glare with something like fury or warning. Evelyn tried to dismiss it all as stress. The move, the loneliness, the grief, but her dreams betrayed her. She dreamed of a woman cloaked in black, her mouth sewn shut, her eyes two pits of living shadow, whispering through the stitches, "You broke the seal." Evelyn would wake with dirt beneath her nails and bruises on her arms, as if she'd been gripped by unseen hands. On the seventh night, she saw the figure awake, standing at the foot of her bed. No sound escaped her lips. The thing leaned close, its breath colder than ice, and said, "You called me. You are mine now." She screamed, and the sound vanished in a silence so thick it hurt. The next morning, every clock in the house had stopped at 3:07 a.m. Her phone had no signal. The mirrors were black. Evelyn tried to flee, packing her car and speeding down the winding road, but the forest that surrounded her home seemed endless. The GPS spun in circles. The road stretched without end, and when she finally stopped, trembling, she saw the house again through the trees, waiting, patient, inevitable. Desperation drove her back inside. She searched the book for answers, for a way to reverse whatever she'd unleashed. The Latin script shifted as she read, words bleeding into new shapes, sentences rewriting themselves. A line burned into her mind. To break the bond, give what was taken, blood for shadow, soul for silence. Evelyn understood too late that the ritual demanded balance. What was summoned could not be dismissed without payment. She began to unravel. The lights flickered with her heartbeat. She stopped recognizing her own voice. Neighbors who came to check on her found her front door open, but the air so cold they couldn't breathe. They swore they heard laughter, soft and childlike, coming from the walls. One by one they stopped visiting. Evelyn's journal entries, found later by the police, told the story of her descent. It watches me through the mirror. It knows my thoughts. It feeds when I sleep. By the time they found her, she was sitting before the mirror in her grandmother's room, eyes wide, unblinking, whispering to her own reflection, "I am not alone in here." The house was sealed after that. Locals said the air around it felt wrong, as if it rejected the living. Years passed, and the story of Evelyn Ward became legend, the woman who vanished inside her own house. Teenagers dared each other to go to Waverly Woods and touch the door. Some claimed to hear whispers calling their names. Others said they saw a woman's face in the upstairs window, smiling through the cracks. But the truth was worse. In 2023, a group of paranormal investigators entered the property. Their footage was never released, but fragments were recovered. The sound of breathing, a voice whispering, "You shouldn't have come," and a reflection moving when no one stood before the camera. The last frame showed a woman's face, pale, with black veins spreading from her eyes, mouthing a single word: "Cursed." Authorities boarded the house again, but those who worked on it swore they saw writing appear on the walls in black soot. Latin phrases that translated roughly to "she is bound to the shadow." No one could explain the sudden drop in temperature, the power surges, or the way the boards on the windows seemed to rot overnight. Some say Evelyn never died. They say she lives between the mirrors, waiting for someone to read from the book again, to open the door that binds her to the world. There are recordings, grainy, distorted, of a woman's voice humming through old radio frequencies near Waverly Woods, the same melody Evelyn's grandmother used to hum before bed. People who listen too long complain of headaches, then nightmares, then disappearances. Police dismissed it all as urban legend until a missing persons case led them to the woods. A young woman named Harper Lane, obsessed with documenting the Evelyn curse. Her phone was found in the dirt outside the Ward house, still recording. The final video lasted 13 minutes. Harper walking through the decaying hallway, whispering, "It feels like the house is breathing." At 3:07 a.m., the camera flickered and she gasped, staring at something we cannot see. The screen shook violently before her voice whispered, "She's here," followed by a scream that cut into silence. The last frame showed the book open on the floor, pages turning on their own. The words on the final page glowed faintly. "To free her is to take her place." And so the curse continues. Each generation, someone finds the book. Each one thinks they can end it, and each one disappears. The book returns home. The house waits, and the whispers begin again. Locals avoid Waverly Woods now, and those who pass by at night say they see a woman standing by the upstairs window, her face pale as moonlight, her eyes hollow, her hand pressed to the glass, as if reaching for help. Sometimes she's crying. Sometimes she's smiling. But always she's watching. They say if you call her name 3 times in the mirror, you'll hear her voice answer, "I was you once." The curse doesn't kill. It replaces. Evelyn Ward isn't gone. She's everyone who's ever looked too long into the dark and wondered if something was looking back. She's the whisper behind you when you think you're alone, the flicker at the edge of your vision, the reflection that smiles a moment too late. She is the price of curiosity. She is the echo of forbidden knowledge. She is forever cursed.